I'm just doing my thing, doing my thing. Oh, you keep hanging. I'm just doing my thing. Oh, you keep hanging.
So I give you solutions, not just here's the problem, but I give you solutions.
I'm just doing my 6 in the morning. Yeah, I'm on my dough.
And that's why I wrote the book. It took me, it's about 37 to 40 years of research.
Now I'm flourishing, life's an excursion. If you get it,
When you isolate a vitamin from its whole food form, it becomes nothing more than an isolated chemical, and your body actually has to work harder to break it down to its molecular structure.
Feeling so good, so good. And I'm feeling so good.
And welcome to the Healthy Living Show. I am Sharon Wynters, and I'm so glad to be here today. The show is based on my book, The Pure Cure, A Complete Guide to Freeing Your Life from Dangerous Toxins. 20 different chapters and 20 different areas of concerns and solutions that what you can do about it. Today I have a very special guest in the studio. I am so thrilled and honored to have Eric Kabera, who is the producer of Rwanda's first ever acclaimed feature film, 100 Days. And Eric was the recipient of the 2011 Pan-African Film Festival as the African Visionary. He also started the first random film and television school in Rwanda, which was opened in 2011 by the members of the Academy of Motion Pictures and Sciences. He is currently working on his recent film titled Intore, focusing on the history of his country through music and dance and expressions of healing 20 years after Rwanda genocide, which is incredible. It's 20 years. And he brought a film clip, a little trailer of Intore to show. So before I introduce him, let's just run the show, the trailer. Here is a trailer to Intore.
Culture is the root of the tree. If we take the nation as a tree, culture is always the root. Our tragic history is our loss of culture. It's like a tree whose root has been cut.
The world did not intervene to try to stop the Rwandan genocide. One of humanity's great failures at the end of the 20th century.
But from that void came a new burst of energy.
We are living a new era, an era of hope, an era of resilience, an era of a new generation. An era of a new generation.
The musicians are contributing to the peace of Rwanda. We are the ones to talk about peace because we know when there is no peace, what happens. Nobody could believe that there will be someone who can bring all the people together for dancing, for singing.
The meaning of Intore is like a noble person who actually can stand up to the challenge.
Welcome, Eric. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
You were in Rwanda, obviously, when the ethnic cleansing was. What was that like? How old were you?
Actually, I was born and raised as a son of a refugee because my parents, before 1994 were kicked out of Rwanda. So the civil strife started way before 1994, when all the Tutsis were being, killed and cleansed, and ethnic cleansing going on at the time. So I was born and raised in Congo, in the former Zaire, and I actually happened to be in a position of seeing literally the lives of living in a nation that is not yours. So, and that was quite a difficult moment to experience because my parents stayed over 30 years in exile, and then after that we had to return after the genocide, and that's how we went into Rwanda, and that's how I started immediately experiencing the suffering of the aftermath of the genocide, and started working with journalists to tell the story.
So what have you been doing the last 20 years? It's been 20 years. It's amazing.
What it is I've started working with journalists as like the field producer, the fixer, the interpreter. I worked with BBC, CNN, NBC, CBS, and many other channels, including the Los Angeles Times. When they all came back, after the genocide had happened, they said, like, what happened here? And then they realized that this is one of the, mankind tragedy, turn of the 20th century. And what was happening is it was beyond anybody's expectation, because 1 million people had been killed into a country that has got no resources. So everything was shattered, and the country had to be reconstructed from fresh. And through that experience, and until today, so I've been recording all those moments. And 20 years down the line, I'm actually giving a new, fresh air, if you like, a new expression from the kids who have inherited all of that, but in a very, very positive way.
How did it stop? What was the thing that made the ethnic cleansing stop? What was that? Did it just stop in one day, or was it a period of days, or how did that happen?
Many people don't know, the pre-1994, because when the colonial power came and found the people living in unity and harmony and clearly having a very organized society in Africa, and they instilled some seeds of division, and then so they literally made people believe that they're different, yet they're one. I mean, these are people who speak one language, live on the same land and had intermarriage. And then the division started there, literally after the kingdom, and then it came to be that the Tutsi, who are known like the aristocrats, the people who have many cows, the people who have, had to be literally attacked, houses burned, and killed. So many of them fled Rwanda. So
those were the Tutsis.
Those are the Tutsis.
And the Hutus.
And then the Hutus were manipulated. Right. It's not all the Hutus, but like the Hutu leadership was manipulated. It's like, it's like the Holocaust, where we say like the root of the problem we have is these people. So
Absolutely.
they become like the scapegoat of the ills of the society.
Not many people were aware of what was going on, because at the time that was going on, there was something going on that the world was watching, which was the O.J. Simpson trial going on. So it kind of got shoved under the ground, and I happen to have known a bit about it. I think you were a little shocked that I knew the Hutus and the Tutsis. Yes,
actually, you're well read, and that's quite impressive to see that, somebody in the middle of Los Angeles knowing all these elements of
it touched me deeply
history.
What was going on.
Thank
Any
you.
atrocity touches me deeply.
Thank you.
That man's inhumanity to man, and what we do, because you're a Hutu or you're a Tutsi, and just to destroy lives.
Yeah, I mean, these are people who speak one language and who had intermarriages. So after all that division,
and
you had
it was quite something. I mean, if you were married to a
Hutu or a Tutsi, you had like the political system telling you that you have to kill your own wife or kill your own children.
And your own children.
It was a matter of brainwashing, and they brainwash the people to believe that they're different, yet they're not. But we're all
the same, period.
Yeah, clearly, yeah. And that's what the current leadership has created. It has created literally a policy and a system to bring back the culture, and that's what my film is talking about, because my film is here showing you the value of the culture, the value of the roots and seeds of a community, how they live together, how they should live together, and how the rest of the community should inherit that. And that was actually what the colonial planted, to make sure that people are divided so that they can conquer them. But all of that went for 30 years, and that's how our parents went into exile. So when the children of the refugees wanted to come back, the central government, the elite, and the people who were brainwashing the community, they did not want the rest of the community who had fled into exile to come back. They did not want them to actually have the rights to have a country. And that created a tension whereby the children of this community had actually to cause a major demand to actually come by force. And then when they came in by force, because they came through an armed struggle, They took up arms, and then they said, we're going to go back into our country. You know, we cannot actually live in a country, in a country that doesn't belong to us. So when they did that, so the central government at the time, which was dominated by the Hutu, plotted the extermination of their siblings. So I lost, you know, over 40 members of my family. But that's a story that you'll find all over Rwanda anyway.
Right. How did it stop? Did any other country intervene and help you?
No, and that's where the story of Rwanda is so unique vis-a-vis the rest of the community and the rest of the world, or the rest of the places where countries have gone through genocide, civil wars, and really, really huge challenges of sort of historical magnitude. What happened is the same children whose parents were persona non grata into the country, they pushed the genocidal government out of power, and then the only thing they could inherit was pain, was the legacy of the survivors, widows, and orphans, and things like that. And these are the very people who stopped the genocide, which is this very story that many people don't know about. And that's actually the project of my next film. So, but I'm here talking about Intore. So the next one will be actually telling the chapter of the people who stopped the genocide, because no one knows.
And Intore means chosen.
Intore means chosen, because in the cultural heritage of Rwanda.
And what language is that?
That's Kinyarwanda. Kinyarwanda.
Yeah,
it's Kinyarwanda. Kinyarwanda.
Kinyarwanda.
Yeah. This is the language of Rwanda. And what it is in the old days, before the colonial brought in schools, Rwanda was such a society that was so well organized that they would send their children, you know, young men and women, to go into this, if you may like, some form of kibbutz. It's like a training centers where people learned good manners, learned leadership skills, learned discipline, learned martial arts, and learned to dance. And then whenever you come out of that, then you'll be chosen to be one of the community leaders. And when the colonizers came, they said like, whoa, this is like a very well-organized society. So they said like, you know, we can't have some Africans sort of being organized in that sense. And from that moment, you know, it became chaos, civil strife, and people believed that they were divided. So 20 years after the genocide, you know, the country's leadership is saying, hang on, we've got to go back to our roots. We've got to go back and know exactly where we came from and know exactly what happened to our community and all the values. So the country's creed and values are being brought back to the surface, and that's exactly what my film is talking about.
But yet we always have these images of desperate and terrifying situations of a lack of food and resources in Africa. But we know that Africa is also abundant in resources. So what all is really lacking in Africa? And the different countries in Africa different?
It's very interesting, because what is happening is, Rwanda is leading the way in that sense, because here is one of the smallest countries on the African continent, and here's the country that has gone through an incredible historical chapter of mankind, of suffering and pain and genocide, and here's a country that has lifted itself up, actually, to give an example to the rest of Africa that, hang on, you know, it's not that we don't have resources. We have plenty of resources, and we can do it. We can actually get our leadership, you know, give the rights and give the necessity essentials to our community. And Rwanda is one of the countries where they have the lowest crime rate, you know, the least corrupt nation on the African continent, and clearly it's one of the greenest. Nevertheless, all major other countries on the African continent has got that, but it's all about leadership. It's all about orientation, and Rwanda is very, you know, happy to have this incredible leader with Paul Kagame, who is like the headmaster of the nation, because we all follow what the examples he leads. I mean, he's the most hardworking man I've ever met. He's the most disciplined man that you'll ever meet.
That's great.
That's why he has lifted the country up. I mean, if you are not disciplined, if you don't abide by the rule of law, no favoritism, no nepotism, nothing like that, he just walks around with an incredible power of you know, intolerant. He's very intolerant to corruption. He's very intolerant to stupidity, point blank. And that has actually inspired many people, including the young men and women in Rwanda. And that's exactly that's the message that is being transmitted into the film, and that's the message of hope, resilience, and reconciliation and peace building.
Is it safe?
It's one of the safest places on
well,
the
that's
African
good to know.
continent.
He's invited me to Rwanda. I should tell this little story. You were quite ill. How we met, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I was unwell because what happens is, once coming from Rwanda to here is quite a trip. So it's more than 20 hours, and then so what you have to do that, and then you have to work, and then as a filmmaker, you don't only work during the day. You work during the day and work during the night. So literally what happens is your immune system sort of goes down.
Right.
And then, I met you as the naturopath, and then you introduced me to all these nutrients and seeds and plants that I have to drink into tea, and then here I am, with full of energy. So I don't need any caffeine anymore.
So you went on my nutritional program, my regenerative program, as I call it, and it made such a change in your body that you are now going to introduce it into your country, and you've invited me to go to Rwanda to speak about it. And my first thought was, oh my God, it's not safe. And I realize that we have this image. So your film is really going to show what is going on in the last 20 years of how it's risen from that whole ethnic cleansing into this incredible country that it is. Let's take a short break, and we'll be right back with Eric Kabera.
Kukubwira ko hari icyo naguhamana biragoye kuko nzi ko ari wowe ufite byose kukubwira ntabwo ko ntacyo naguha nabyo biragoye kandi ari wowe nkesha byose wowe Mana ncumuraho buri gihe ukambabarira wowe wicecekera kandi uzi umuntu w'imbere ni wowe nshuti itagitatira igihango iyo abandi bose bandeka wowe ndi ko nkunda reka nkore muri iki giseke wampaye gutura ituro rizira imbere kaye imitego yari myinshi yababawe urusaku rwasumaga nk'imvura.
We're back with Get Healthy, the Wynters Way, and my guest is Eric Kabera, filmmaker of Intore. And what were we just listening to? That's fabulous. I just loved it. I was just didn't want it to stop. I was just drawn into it. What is that? Is that music that is from your country? Or
yeah, that's music from Rwanda.
From Rwanda?
Yeah, this young man is called Mani Martin, and he's one of the young celebrated musician. He plays traditional music. But what is so incredible is that his band is actually composed of these kids who are like 17 and 16. And
how many people are in the band?
There are about like 5, and there's the drummers, 2, one guitar player, and the other, and there's just like 5 of them. And for me, it's literally the inspiration of the nation, or the emblematic sort of picture of the nation through these young men and women who are really singing for peace and unity and reconciliation.
That's amazing. How do you connect the lack of knowledge and education in contributing to all of the malnutrition that we witness in different parts of the world and in Africa?
I mean, Africa has always been sort of labeled and looked at as the despicable, the miserable, the hopeless, I mean, name it, okay? And what is so sad is like many Africans have actually believed that we should be perceived that way. And
why is that?
Because it's the stereotypes. They make you believe that you're weak, you're not valuable, you have nothing, you have no knowledge. And it's actually the right time. And actually, you know, the Rwandan leadership, President Kagame, is if you like, is like the rebel. He says, like, I can't stand this. I can't accept this. You know, why do we have to have two standards? You know, the standards of the Western powers on how, you know, their countries should be run, how their systems should be run, and how our nations in Africa should be looked at. We simply do not have to accept it, because Africa is the continent that has got incredible amount of resources. I mean, everything you plant, clearly, like in my country, it grows. I don't need some fertilizer. I mean, the kind of food we eat back home, it's very healthy. I mean, it's very organic. It's organic. I mean, there's no such a thing as organic food back home. Everything is organic.
Right.
And
you don't use pesticides.
Yeah, we don't use pesticides and things like that. I mean, it's coming now because it's the trend, it's the globalization.
Do you know what GMO is? Is that
Yes. I don't think that we're going into the GMOs, because the government policy is also actually encouraging people to have their little gardens where they can actually, you know,
be self-sustainable.
Self-sustainable, and then in the little garden, and we have plenty of rain throughout the year. We have plenty of sunlight, so everything will grow. And this is a policy that will continue, and that can be embraced with the rest of Africa. And then, you know, that will stop seeing, you know, kids who are starving, who are dirty, who can clean up themselves. I mean, we have plenty of waters in Africa. Why aren't people clean? Why do we always have to see pictures of kids who are like dirty and with despicable faces? And that's the change that has to happen.
And your film Intore is going to do that, though.
Yeah, because once you talk to somebody, they think, oh, you're a filmmaker out of Africa, Rwanda, oh. And then they think that is like this remotest area of a place. Of course, you know, we still have some poverty, but at the end of the day, it's just a mindset to say, like, you know, we can't accept it. Once we give our community some level of education, that's why I set up a school. And that's why I use cinema as a tool to educate, to empower, and to enlighten, and really to encourage young filmmakers and young men and women to look at life differently.
It's incredible. Tell me about the school. How did that happen?
It all started with 100 Days. Once we made this...
Did you make 100 Days before Hotel Rwanda?
Yes, 100 Days was the first feature film that was made before Hotel Rwanda.
And how did you come to make 100 Days?
What happened is when I started, you know, all the way from 1994, working with all these journalists and having many reports going out, you know, newspapers and things like that. And then I would travel like places like London or Paris, and you speak to a regular guy, he doesn't even know where Rwanda is. I mean, you know, the least to know where Africa is located on the world map. And then that got in my head, and I was quite mad. And so, like, guys, you come here, you hire me, we work together, but out there, no one knows. And then one of the cameramen who was working for BBC at the time, he said to me, Eric, you shouldn't be mad, because people out there, you know, relate to situations when you make a movie. And so, like, I've never made a movie, but we've made all these documentaries. And then he said, like, a documentary is watched by a tiny fraction of the population of a country. So if you make a feature film, it's going to be blown up, and then, you know, it's going to blow out, and then people are going to see it in theaters. So I said, like, I'd love to embark on that. I think that that should be my call. So anyway, we teamed up. We produced this incredible, powerful, and very raw film. And
100 Days.
100 Days.
Can somebody still get that film?
Yes, you can get it through Amazon. I mean, it's an independent film, so there was no studio, there was no big producer at the time. I never went to film school to learn all the packaging, and at that time I'd never come to Hollywood to discuss about how movies are made. So we made it. Finally, we realized that this is a powerful film that needs to be shared with the rest of the world. So we took it at the Toronto International Film Festival. We screened it there. It was 2001, September. It was actually 2 days, you know, we screened the film 2 days after September 11th. Wow. And literally all the studio people and all the people that had come to watch the film, they were, you know, busy packing. And then we even actually wanted to stop the screening, because they said, like, you know, no one in the press will see it, no one in the media will see it. And then what happened is we screened the film, and we had a full house, And then at the end of the screening, we had a standing ovation. It was very, very moving for me, because having a standing ovation on a film that is so painful about, your country, it was a bit of a huge contrast.
I'm sure.
And we had great reviews. Like, I think one review read from Variety magazine read like cinema or filmmaking, independent filmmaking at its finest. And that, I think, got some of the people who had worked, in Africa. And, a few weeks later, I got a call from somebody who was trying to make a film with HBO. And a few months down the line, I got a call from somebody who was trying to make Hotel Rwanda. And to cut the story short, I helped them out. I said, what I care about is to get the story of Rwanda out. I don't care about, any film coming to compete with me or with ours. So I gave them all the support, including the Hotel Rwanda. I spoke to the producers and directors and everybody.
What did you think of Hotel Rwanda?
Cinematically, it's a good film, but I think, on the other hand, when it comes to the story representation, it doesn't represent literally the core values of what our country, how it should be represented. Because here you have one person who is being idealized, who is being sort of portrayed in a Hollywood fashion as the hero. And then all the survivors goes like, hang on, we didn't have anybody to save us. I mean, the people who saved us are these guys who came up with the arms, who died for us. Right. They're the people who are supposed to be idolized. They're the people whose story needs to be told. Not some guy who was working in a hotel who wasn't even actually saving people. So you see, that became a huge controversy. He was indeed working in the hotel, but actually the person who had the management is this friend of mine called Pasai, who had the keys of the management. So actually Paul came and got the keys from him. Anyway, to cut the story short, the film is good, but the story is a little bit exaggerated, and if not too much exaggerated.
So the truth is 100 Days.
I mean, not to tap myself on the shoulder, but 100 Days is a very powerful and organic film that uses survivors and children of perpetrators, and actually was shot on the very location where the genocide took place. It's quite very powerful. It's quite very, yeah.
What is the feeling of the Hutus and the Tutsis connecting now?
That's what the current leadership has done, because they have created a nation where people can look at each other in the eyes and say, we are all Rwandans. We are not Hutus and Tutsis. We are Rwandans. Do you see? And I mean, if you have that,
it's really about forgiveness.
It's about forgiveness and moving on. I mean, regardless of people's identity, if you can call it so. But people need to be one. I mean, we speak one language, and we live on that tiny land that we need to, to set up as an example for the rest of the world. I mean, if you look at what is happening in Rwanda now in 20 years, if that can set an example, let's say in the Middle East, if you have like a good commander and a good person says like, you know what, we can all live on this piece of land, we can all make peace, we can all have our differences, put in a corner, but move forward and actually have the next generation have a stable nation. And that's what the current leadership and President Kagame has managed to do. It hasn't been easy. I'm not saying that, hey, you went there and then it was an easy ride. I mean, there's some moments where we go like, okay.
It's taken time to
It's taken time, but
it's taken time to trust. It's taken all these things, but it sounds like I can't wait to go.
I mean, it's a bitter pill to swallow, whereby you tell a survivor, or a survivor has to accept to give forgiveness. And my film is dealing with that. Intore is dealing exactly with that, whereby, you have Jean-Paul Samputu, who is an incredible musician, who had his friend in the early age, whom they grew up together. And then this friend of his was the very person who went out and killed his parents and his sisters. And Jean-Paul went out and asked for forgiveness, or forgave this guy. Okay, and then you have another incredible musician who is out there and say like, you know what, it's too much for me. I can't. Anyway, so we're dealing with these moments of truth, unity, reconciliation, and really the path to make a better society.
It's a lesson for us all, isn't it? We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with Eric Kabera.
Mama Nakei Kasilobi Nakozo Ngai Mopembo Ezalindeli Wandeo Nakei Kasilobi Nakozo Ngai Mopembo ezali ndeliwa te o totika bamboka mosika tokende koluka bomoima tokoma mitelengano na mboka mopaya nani ya sunga yo pasi na pasi e nakei kasi lobi na kozonga atandele o mopembo ezali ndeliwa te o nakei kasi lobi na kozonga oyanga bako yambanga mopembo ezali ndeliwa te akozonga mboka nakei kasi lobi na kozonga ayeba yama mopembo ezali ndeliwa te o atandele o tokozonga Kinshasa pasi oyo eleki eni nyokolo mboka ya mopaya pasi baninga atandele tokozonga Kinshasa o pembeni ya bayeba ndaka yo.
We're back with Get Healthy the Wynters Way. I'm Sharon Wynters, and my guest is Eric Kabera, the great filmmaker. I just love this music. Tell me about these artists.
The first one you heard is called Mani Martin. It's very young, with a young band. Right. And this gentleman whose music has been playing is called Lokwa Kanza. His father... Lokwa Kanza.
Lokwa Kanza.
His father is from Congo.
Uh-huh.
Congo is a neighboring country of Rwanda. And the mother is from Rwanda. And I was out in Germany about 5 years ago, and I saw him at this incredible music festival. And he just rocked the audience. And he has been always my favorite musician. So I looked at him and said, like, I'm telling you now that I've got to get you to Rwanda. So I said, I want you to come and play in Rwanda. And he came and he made this spectacular concert. And he said, like, I've been away from my motherland, where my mother is from, with my uncles, and I've been away for 50 years. And thank you, Eric, to have actually brought me back into my motherland. And this music is actually about the return to the motherland. I mean, you know, somebody listening to me and knowing everything that is written about Congo and Rwanda, two countries that, you know, are known to be unfriendly. But, you know, music can actually create that connectivity, because I listen to what he's singing, and music can transcend that. And this guy is one of the most incredible talents that we have out of Africa, because he composes for Gilberto Gil. He's just, you know, he's it. He's very talented.
Are these musicians in your film?
Him particularly, he's meant to be in the film, but I did not record him. But his music is very inspiring to many of the other artists. Actually, when he came, I had him perform with Lauryn Hill when Lauryn Hill came to Rwanda for a concert, and he was very happy. And Lauryn Hill was just like, you know, thrilled to have like one of the top African artists. So music can actually translate that barrier of distance, of a people, of poverty that is always labeled on our faces, and it's time to change that.
I'm sure your films have had quite an impact in your country. How's that affected you? How has that affected the country, your films? They saw 100 Days. They're going to see El Hore. And what is that like for the country to see your films? You're like Mr. Spielberg, right, in Rwanda, in Africa.
A small Spielberg. I can't. But you know, in a sense, what I've done is actually I've been inspired, and film has changed my life. And what I wanted to do is for this to be the tool that can change other people's lives as well, especially the young generation. So what I've done is I've traveled to all these film festivals, and in most cases I would watch a film that has been made by a Japanese, by a Belgian, by an American, but none of these films would actually be accessible to be watched in Rwanda. So what I did, I said, like, you know, we need a space, we need a moment where we'd be actually celebrating these films that have been made on our people. So I started off with a film festival, which is, you know, known as Hillywood. Because why Hillywood? Because I take films made by our students, and I take these films in the rural area where they have no access to theaters and the television entertainment. So I take them into the hills, and that has thank you, and that has become literally the iconic brand of our film industry.
Hollywood meets Hillywood.
Correct, yeah. and these films have been very impactful. Beside 100 Days, and beside all the films that I've made, especially on the recording of the aftermath of the genocide, most of the films that I've made and some of my students have made have had a huge impact and a very inspirational moment for the community.
How does the community benefit from the schools that you establish? And the school has, it's a acting school, it's a filmmaking school. Is it an acting school?
Yes, we have acting. Like Alfred Woodard, when the Academy of Motion Picture came to open the school, they ran masterclass for about 3 days.
That's fabulous.
And Alfred Woodard
kids
gave
that want to become actors have teachers and a way of learning their craft, and you have teachers for filmmaking and editing and all of that.
Correct. Yeah, it's a arts, media, and television and film school.
That's incredible.
What we do is, the only problem is we don't have enough resources. So while I'm here, I'm here on calling up on more supporters. I have the creators of Everybody Loves Raymond, who had supported to sort of put 4 walls of the theater, and making sure that I engage more with the Academy and all the other people who may wish to come to Rwanda, not only to help but to be partners, because what has killed Africa the most is like that tendency of help. You can come and the business can be done, and you can be empowered. I can be empowered. So I think it has to be looked at that way. And this is a call for partnership. Because if you come to Rwanda,
it's a call for community.
Correct.
In anything.
Correct.
Community is what builds anything.
Yeah, exactly. And being myself here promoting Intore is the fact that I want to learn more from this part of the world. And but that does not stop me getting people actually being invited to come and see my country, because we have this incredible event that happens in the gorilla naming ceremony. Natalie Portman had come, Robert De Niro had come to see. Quite a number of celebrities out of Hollywood had come to see the gorillas and to check on our films on our festival. So it's a call of partnership and call of exchange. So it's nothing to do with the kind of pity that has always been expressed to be given to Africa. I think Africa is the new frontier. China is big time now into Africa, and many people, because we have a lot of resources, a lot of opportunities, a lot of people can consume the products and get healthy as well.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. Your family is very involved in social change, and I know your wife, which I look forward to meeting, is a preacher, and she helps the women who were traumatized from the ethnic cleansing. How does she do that? What does she do? She has a church?
What happened is actually the essence of all of that is sort of came from my house, because my film school started right in the back of the kitchen, back in my garage. And so she saw, all these young men coming, and
she wasn't a preacher before that?
She wasn't a preacher before that. She had, what is known as the calling from God. But she wasn't as spoken as she is now. She wasn't as articulate as she is now. She wasn't as the great leader that I experienced her to be today, and I literally pushed her into it. I went away and spent months, sleepless nights, days and nights, making 100 days. I came back. I set up a school. And then I told her, you know what, you got to come get involved into what I'm doing, because this is my passion. And she said, what
were you doing before?
I was a student. As a student, like all the innovative and entrepreneur kind of sort of mindset, I'm a law school dropout. But I don't regret it, because this cinema has enriched my mind and my soul than before.
And your country.
Possibly. And so my wife started all these counseling, because my films have always been to sort of show the community and the rest of the world what had happened in Rwanda, interviewing and listening. There's a lot of listening. And so my wife observed me. And the next thing when I came back, she had like 50 people in the house. The next thing, she had 100 people. The next thing, she was going into all these missions.
That's incredible.
And now she's got a 2,000 women congregation where she has a ministry.
2,000?
2,000 women under her congregation. And
is it just women?
Mostly are women, because it's known as Women Foundation Ministries. But men are also inclusive.
Right.
So, like the group of men, we call ourselves like we men. It's like we the men. So, it's W and men, we men. And she does these things that takes most of her time. Only this time around, that's the time when I actually got the time to sit with her for many hours here in Los Angeles, because back in Rwanda, she's either counseling somebody on the phone, or she's receiving somebody, all these social issues that are in the community, and she's heavily involved into that. And she's highly respected, and she's highly influential in her field. And at times when I see her preach and talk, I go like, is this the woman I live with? Yeah, so it's a good calling.
Does what's the food like? What kind of food do you eat? And what is Rwanda? Is it known for anything in food?
We have great bananas.
Bananas.
Yes, and actually the small bananas, the big bananas and the small bananas, they're the sweetest you'll ever find in the world. I mean, I've traveled places. They are the sweetest banana. Actually, a friend of mine who is Volker Schlendorf, who is actually helping our school to get a grant from Deutsche Welle, which is this German radio, to have a 2-year diploma program. So he invited me in Berlin, and then I went to Berlin, and I sat there, and a German friend of his had come to Rwanda to start processing the small bananas out of Rwanda in this village where these bananas come from, into a cognac, white cognac. I'd never had a great cognac like that. Oh. And then they packaged them into like these great bottles. And then I drank it and said, like, God, I've never had this incredible cognac. Where is it from? Why is it white? Cognacs that normally have all this coloring. And then he went like, this is from Rwanda.
Wow.
And I looked at the label, and it was all in German and English. It was incredible. And they started it, but the biggest problem was the productivity. It's like the volume that Rwanda could produce. If you want the volume, then that's when you bring the pesticides and all these GMOs and things like that.
Right.
And, I think Rwanda wasn't ready for that. So I think the bananas are the things that I'm very proud of and that I miss here. And, of course, the food that,
Well, most of our bananas are gassed to get them to look bigger.
Yeah. So, and the chicken is great because it comes freshly from the farm.
From the farm raised.
Yeah, farm raised. So, I miss.
Well, we're fighting for that.
Yeah, I miss my food back home.
I'm sure you do.
Not to say that Los Angeles doesn't have great food, but you have actually to be very specific and to have a lot of money to actually afford the very food that you really can deserve.
And even though we have great food, you go to restaurants, most of the food's been GMO'd. So unless the restaurant is becoming conscious, and it's interesting because there's more and more restaurants coming like that. They're not going to grab any produce that's been GMO, and so that's part of the reason why I'm doing this show is to get people to be aware and stand up and say, look, I don't want to eat at your restaurant anymore if you continue to get food that's GMO. And we need to take a stand. You shared with me, which I'm looking forward to, that the African government has appointed you about the naming of the gorillas. Talk about that. That's so great.
That's not the African government. I have a close relationship with the Rwanda Development Board, which is this institution that helps the promotion of investment into the country and tourism promotion. So while I'm here, with all the contacts I have, I lend my name to invite, celebrity people like yourselves and other people to come to Rwanda. And these people, when they come, they actually get involved into this naming, gorilla naming ceremony. And what they do, they come.
Gorillas are becoming extinct?
Yes, because it's one of the endangered species in the world, and about maybe 500 or 700
really?
in the three countries. And you're talking about an animal that is like 93% or 97% human,
right?
Very intelligent and very robust. And they live in Rwanda. They're highly well protected. And so it's one of the ways that Rwanda celebrates these animals and get the word out that this is one of the special.
I can't wait! I'm so excited! I'm so looking forward to coming and seeing all this and being taken around by you. What an experience it's going to be. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
zikumbuye u Rwanda rwaziremye zirashabuka amariba y'amakera n'umukenyi uzikesha ntuziyikebanye ziravumera zisanganiwe n'abazinyoye zirongowe n'abanyirazo kirabajya mbere imbere y'urwuri abajyana bazikurikire ziravumera intageruka zarutaramye ni mu by'ukuruti izo ndangamirwa intakemwa ziwiririze maze inyangamutsindo zicyura ishema
We're back with Get Healthy the Wynters Way, and if you want to know about my book called The Pure Cure, you can go to my website, www.wintersway.com. And do you have a website, Eric?
We do have a website, and the website for the film is Intore, which is INTORE-themovie.com.
Okay.
And they can see that. They can go on our Facebook. It's also Intore, which is INTORE, which means in our language, chosen. So these are beautiful dancers. These are men of integrity who are actually out there in the society and reaching out to the community. It's a beautiful thing that many people will experience. We're actually having our trailer playing at the Pan-African Film Festival. So for some people who wants to look at it, and who will be attending the Pan-African Film Festival here in Los Angeles, they can actually look at it.
Isn't that this weekend?
It's this weekend, actually, starting this evening. So with the opening
that why you're
now.
Here?
That's why I'm here. I'm actually here promoting the film. And
so the whole film is finished?
No, the whole film is not yet finished. We're actually into post-production. So we'll be finishing in about 3 weeks because my co-producer, Charlie Neal, is working tirelessly to make sure that we have a well-scripted kind of narrative that people will understand, because I can bring all these things. I can put in the cars, I can put in the music, and put in the history. So it needs to be in a format that people in America and Canada and Australia will understand. But the thing is, everything that is reflected there reflects mankind and reflects everything that has characterized our nation through centuries.
So when will the film be finished?
The film will be finished by March, and we're actually possibly aiming at premiering at the Tribeca Film Festival. And Tribeca has actually got a partnership and collaboration with our film school in Rwanda, the Kwetu Film Institute and the Rwanda Cinema Center. And actually, while we premiere the film here, we also show it in Rwanda, because I'm here as well campaigning actually to get a roof on the theater that we're building for the community there.
So if everybody goes to your Facebook page, Intore, INTORE, and like it, you will be giving messages when that film will be released. That's a real important thing.
Correct, and I have a personal
So
Facebook.
I know you're leaving soon next week to go back to Rwanda, but you're coming back soon.
I'll come back soon because there's a program that is put together by the Steven Spielberg Foundation, to which I'm associated to. So
See,
I'll be.
I told you were like Spielberg. Yeah, see?
Yeah, that's too big much of a big acclaim. But so I'm associated with the Shaw Foundation, which is the Steven Spielberg Foundation that was created and to record the memory of the Holocaust. And I'm going to be one of the jury members to
That's great.
That's
great.
Yeah, to choose the 2 best films that are made by the students at the USC in the cinematic arts. Yeah.
In the music that we just heard, I didn't want to pass that by. Who was that we were just listening to?
That's Masamba Intore. Masamba Intore again. He actually has the name of the Chosen, because his father is Sentore, the father of the Chosen, and his father was actually one of the most iconic cultural leader of the Rwandan identity and the Rwandan culture in exile when all these people had fled out of Rwanda. And his son is named Masamba, whom I'm featuring in the film. And he has this film, this song that is actually praising the cows, because the cows in our country are very important. Because in the old days, we never used to have banks. We never used to have money. So wealth and position of power was counted on how many heads of cows you have. And these cows, the Rwandan cows, are actually very, very special. As you see in the trailer,
right.
It's one of the shots that starts. They have long horns.
And that's what all the cows look like?
Beside the ones that are being breeded, the ones that are known currently as Muzungu cows.
And those cows are breeded to kill for meat?
Yes, and
milk?
And milk. Milk is a very important component. Actually, talking about the government policies that had been introduced in taking care of the community, for the communities that are underprivileged or that are considered to be poor, each community member or each head of the family is entitled to have a cow, so that actually they can have nutrients to give to their children, because breastfeeding and milk at the early age is a very, very important element actually for the human development, formation of bones and things like that. And so that has created a very important element as far as our country's sort of policy of lifting people out of poverty is concerned.
That's great. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, actually. Talking about how great I'm feeling and how much energy I have is this incredible tea that I discovered through you, which is it's a herbal tea.
It's not really tea. It's a whole food beverage.
Yeah, it's
not really tea because the caffeine.
Can you explain more? Because I can't explain what I'm actually experiencing here in terms of
it's just concentrated nutrients concentrated down and sprayed onto these leaves, and the leaves disperse the nutrients in the water. So it's in a tea bag. That's why we call it a tea. But one tea bag makes 6 to 10 servings, and it's actually a 5,000-year-old formula that the Shaolin Temple priests developed for their focus and meditation. So one of the things that you get is clarity of mind. So as we get older, we get what's called foggy brain. You're like, where did I put my keys? I love it when somebody called me the other day, and I said, hello, and they went, who is this? And I went, well, you called me. You forget in that moment. So it's just one of my staples that I drink all the time, and I have my clients drink all the time, and it's great. So,
I mean, when I came driving here, I mean, I was feeling a little bit, foggy and tired. And then actually in the back of my mind, I said, I'm going to ask Sharon that I'm going to go and have some coffee. And then I just remembered that I brought my tea. And then when I came, I said, I'm going to grab my tea. And then I had a cup of cups. And now I have this incredible clarity of mind and incredible energy that I don't know where it came from. And I mean, this is the product that I'll be taking to Africa so that, it feeds people's mind and people's brains and people's body and
it's going to be an honor
strength.
For you to do that, to bring good nutrition into your country. I'm sure you have good nutrition, but this is just another level.
I mean, because what is so important is once people get busy or they become into that status of being a middle class, I mean, nutrition becomes very complicated. And then that's where you have, like, diabetes, obesity, and all the health issues. Once you're, like, above 40, you have all these things. And I have many friends and many people in my community, because my school and my establishment is surrounded by 3,000 people or 3,000 households. And these will be the very people who need this kind of nutrition, because it just, cleans your system up and then gives you some kind of well-being. Nourish it. So
we have a few minutes left. What is the last message that you want to get across that you want people to see and experience?
That's a good question. I don't think that I can do that in a minute or two. I mean, the thing is, I'm always inspired by people that I meet, and I'm always keen and eager to learn all the time. I'm not saying that I've figured it out yet. I'm trying to figure out what is next for my people. But what is very, very important for this year, 2014 and beyond, is that the message in our film, Intore, is the message that I think will resonate world over, because a community that has been deprived of peace and stability and all the ills of a community that has gone a civil war, a genocide against our people, and a community that can actually rise from the ash through a good leadership and through these young men and women who express hope and resilience. I mean, it can't get better than that. I'm so honored and so humbled to be actually in a position of making this film and sharing it with the world. So if there is somebody out there, just, go to intore-themovie.com or,
And we have that. Are you having that on the screen?
And what is happening is the film will be out by this spring. So we'll take it to major international film festivals. We're talking to a gentleman, Adam Leipzig, who will potentially help us actually to roll it out, because he has the experience of bringing March of the Penguins to the world. So
and we will be, once we get into the Facebook, and I've already liked your page, but and we like it, we'll know when we can go see it. Here in Los Angeles or any place, and definitely it'll be shown throughout the country.
Definitely, we have, we're thinking. I mean, the film has to be ready first, but we're thinking of actually submitting the film to the Los Angeles Film Festival in June. So
awesome! I'm looking forward to it. Eric, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very, very much,
Dr.
Dr.
busy
Wynters.
you are. I know you're crazed right now, and so I feel so blessed to have you here, and thank you for opening up your heart. In what you do, and letting us know what's going on in your country. And it is so good for all of us to know that there's a healing going on. There's a healing going on in Rwanda. There's a healing going on all over the world. And it's nice that we can all be a part of it and share that energy.
Thank you very much.
So thank you for being here. And thank you for listening. Please, if you like the show, make some comments. Go to my website, www.wintersway, WYNTERSWAY, and let me know what shows you like. And I will see you next week. To your health. Namaste.
Namaste.
Wowe wavuze rimwe gusa maze arakumvira, agabanya umuvumba maze aratuza, kuko nawe wavuma uw'Imana itavumye.